Hey, what's up guys? Madar, True Good Development. So you have a textured wall or a popcorn ceiling maybe and you want to get rid of it. Hey, I don't blame you. These things are ugly. I'm sorry. I have one right here behind me. I'm on one of my flips. I'm going to show you how I'm going to smooth it out to make it more normal, and so you can paint it or do whatever you want with it. Stick around and check it out. All right guys, so I want to go over some of the stuff I'm going to need or use. Joint compound, all-purpose stuff is fine. It's really just about getting it to the right consistency. Water to mix that stuff with. You want to get it to sort of like a yogurt consistency. Nothing too watery, obviously, because you want it to stick on the wall, and nothing too thick that you cannot use a roller on. We'll need the pan later to do the corners or when we smooth things out. A bunch of different knives. I hate that. And a nap. This is a thicker nap. Here's what you want to, how you want to find out what type of nap to use. So this texture is actually not that deep, so I lucked out with that. And you can see that my nap will most certainly be able to go right into those grooves. So if you're using a nap that's really, that is, I guess, shallower or not as thick, you're not gonna be able to go right inside the grooves in here. And for me, it looks like 1/16 of an inch, so no big deal. Obviously take everything off the wall so you're ready to go. Any damage to the wall, I suggest you fix it prior, just like I did here. Empty bucket. Oh, I like using these guys, so we'll throw this guy in there after we mix this up. With the drill, add a little bit more water, and this is kind of what you're looking for, how it kind of like drops down like that. Mix it a little bit more. Make sure you go to all the corners so it's mixed consistently. I'll put my strainer and we'll get right to it. Just take a little bit off of it so it doesn't go all over the place. And when you pick this thing up, you can just kind of twist it or rotate it like that so you don't have any drippings. And don't apply a lot of pressure on this. Very little pressure, because you want it to stay on. Spread it out evenly. Mixed up another batch of this stuff. I already tried a section of the wall, and I'm gonna go over what I did and what I think you should do to get the best results. This is the consistency you're looking for. Just something that you can easily apply on. I also want to mention that this is definitely a 2-coat, maybe even 2 coats and a finish coat job. This is not gonna happen right away. So on your first day or the first go around, what you're really concerned with is filling in as many of the gaps as you can. So here, you can see in some areas I'm getting it smooth, in other areas, right here, not so much, and that's okay. You're not gonna get a smooth finish sort of like this on the first go around. But don't worry, once this all dries, you'll give it a quick sand or scrape off all these lines, and then, and by the way, just a quick sand. You're not sanding this down. You're basically just smoothing out the ridges, like all these, you know, imperfections like that, okay? And once you come back in with the second coat, all these areas are gonna be filled in, and you're gonna see it a lot smoother, and I'm gonna obviously show you that. And here we go. All right, you're gonna go over this 2 or 3 times, again, just to put it on there as much as possible. You're not gonna be able to get this smooth on the first go, I don't think, at least not in my experience. And I'm not a painter, you know, I just have a nag of kind of doing things myself. I enjoy it. So if you have better experiences or have done things differently, please feel free to share. Send me a comment. All right. And you'll hear this, right? You'll hear that it's rubbing against the texture. Ultimately, when we get to our second or third coat, you're not gonna hear that. And that's what you want. But right now, I'm just concerned with filling in as much as I can. So you can still see some areas, and we're gonna come back at it right now and hit it up. Now I am doing 3 passes. This is my 3rd pass on this, just because I want to get it in there as much as possible, so that way when I come in with my second main coat, should be enough to get the job done. Yeah, that's the end result that we're gonna shoot for. And we're gonna get there. This is, again, just kind of prepping the wall, if you like. So this is kind of what it looks like. You still have a lot of texture on this, but you're starting to see some areas that are really smooth, especially the areas where I touched up before. So I had a couple of patches on this wall, if you remember. One of them was right here and the other one was right there. So you can already see the potential for this stuff, which is gonna be just like this. So what's gonna happen is when I come back in the next time, I'm gonna scrape all the excess, give it a quick light sanding, and then we're gonna go roll another coat. All right guys, here we are, day 2 of smoothing out this textured wall. So this is what it looks like. I'm gonna try to get close to here, to the wall, so you can see what it looks like. So remember, the first coat was really just to fill in as much of these grooves as possible. I have to admit, I ran out of joint compound, so I couldn't do a whole lot on this. However, if you go back and see the first section of the wall, clearly I had a lot more mud on it. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna scrape off all these lines. We're gonna lightly sand, and then we're gonna put another coat. All right, so like I said, I'll go ahead and clean this up. Try not to gouge it like I just did there. Again, with the sanding, I'm not really sanding this all the way down. That doesn't make sense because we're coming in with another coat, so all this will be covered. All you're doing is to get a smooth surface, so when you go to mud with your knife, it rolls nice and smooth. So don't go crazy with sanding. And I'm using 120 grit sandpaper. Same routine as we did on the first coat. Just try to get your roller as full as possible. I went ahead here and did a little bit here. I gotta put more. Definitely gotta put more down there. See, the nice thing with not putting so much on is you're guided by the texture. So when you go ahead and put your knife, you'll see the areas where there's light, and that's all that's gonna be filled in. This was our first coat. It filled in a lot of the areas, but not so much, so you still have texture. This is a regular second coat, okay? Where you'd have to come back with a third one and fill this in. Or what you can do is on your second coat, where you have areas like this, you go right back with more mud, which I did here, and smooth it out. My only concern with that is you're putting on a lot more spackle than you may need. And so with a wall this big, you might end up having a wavy wall if you don't control how much spackle you're putting in. That's why, in my opinion, I think this is probably a safer route to fill in just as much as the wall can take and then come back with a third coat to really finish it off, like a really light skim coat to finish it off. I wanted to highlight what I'm doing here real quick with the corners. You want to use the corner as a guide, so you want to match your edge of the knife to the corner. And then you have to gauge sort of which degree you want to bring this knife down. You could do a 45, or you can do it lighter, or smaller, or you could do it larger, depending on how much spackle or how much mud you want to leave on the wall. In this case, I want to leave a lot of the spackle on, so I'm probably going to do a smaller angle, maybe sort of, I don't know what this is, like a 20 degree or something like that angle, and come down with it. I don't want to apply too much pressure again. Just kind of lightly bring it down and then smooth it out as much as possible. You're not looking for perfect. You're not gonna get perfect on this wall in its current condition. So I won't sweat that too much. Now, you might be also thinking, is it worth it to do this versus having a textured wall and then slapping on maybe a 1/4 inch drywall and re-drywalling this whole wall? I think if it's one wall, it's questionable. You're gonna use for a wall like this probably about at least 4 sheets of drywall, maybe more. You're gonna need a corner bead. Obviously, you're gonna need to tape all your corners and the seams. If spackling is not your thing, well, if spackling is not your thing, you shouldn't even be doing this. So I'm gonna assume that you're an average spackler or maybe better, then really taping and corner beads is not a big deal. So I guess it could be a cost thing. You get, these buckets are like 15, 16. You're gonna need 1.5 buckets, or maybe 1 full bucket of spackle. That's 15, 16 bucks, and then your time. So versus drywall and corner bead and whatnot, you're looking at closer to 50 bucks. So I guess from a cost perspective, this is cheaper to do or less expensive, but it could be a little bit more labor intensive, because I tell you what, if this was drywalled I could have this drywalled, taped, and with first coat of spackle in the first day, come back the second day and apply 2 more coats of mud using a 45 or 20 mud, and you're done. You know, so again, it depends. This is going to take a little bit more time, but again, although not full days, I mean, this is, again, I've been here doing this for about maybe an hour now. So I mean, 2 hours each day, you're looking at altogether about 6 hours, you know, so a full day of work to do this wall. So again, it's 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other, really. Okay, picking up where we left off, this is day 3. I finished the wall from yesterday. Overall, you can see that the wall is, especially in that side, it's almost smooth completely. Here, you know, this is the side where we didn't do as much. Like I said, you can still see, obviously, I'm gonna get close here, a lot of the texture, but it is smooth to the touch. And with today's coat, it's totally gonna smooth this out. So here is the other side, and you can see that it's obviously in a more advanced stage. Now we definitely need a little bit more here, here. And notice here I'm using more of an angle because I really don't want to leave on too much of the spackle. I just want to fill in the areas that need it. Once those areas are filled in, then we want to pull all the excess out so you don't have any waves. Here is the almost finished wall. I wanted to show you where we're at after the 3rd application, and I waited for it to dry, and you can see, I mean, this thing is as smooth as you can get a wall. You got stuff like this again. That takes care of that. That's gone. So again, this is not sanded yet, this wall. I'm gonna go back and sand, and if I see anything like this, I'll just hit it with a very light spackle. Check it out. I got my corners all filled in. There you go, a little close up there. Once that's sanded, that's gonna look just as smooth as the rest of this wall. All right, I'm really happy with the project. If you are, and if you like it, give me a like to support the channel. Guys, if you do not know by now, because maybe you haven't seen any of my videos, so please check those out. I do real estate, that's my main focus. My main focus through this channel is teaching you how to build wealth. I've done that over 20 years in real estate, and I'm thankful to say that I've achieved financial freedom, and I want to show you how you can do that as well. So by subscribing to the channel, you'll get my videos as soon as they come out. That way you don't miss anything. Comment if you have any questions. I love to read comments. Until then, I'll see you on the next one. Later.